Aaron Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. I want to hear from the member at the back of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance.
Order. Have both front benches quite finished? Aaron Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What changes has the government made to the tax treatment of investment property to increase fairness and help rebalance the economy towards productive investment?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the government inherited a flawed property tax regime which contributed to the excessive property boom of the last decade. So in last year's budget we stopped claims for depreciation deductions, tightened rules on LAQCs, prevented property investors using rental losses to inflate their eligibility for working for families, and cut the top personal tax rate, reducing the value of losses that higher income earners can claim on property investments.
Aaron Gilmore.
Supplementary question. What extra resources has the government provided to Inland Revenue to help ensure property speculators pay their fair share of tax?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, people who trade in property, of course, have to pay tax on their profits, and we need to make sure that they do. The budget last year provided Inland Revenue with $119 million over 4 years to target property speculators who weren't paying. This investment has paid for itself in the first year with $115 million of new tax assessments in the last 9 months. The extra funding has also been used for audits centred on the hidden economy, where people tend to pay cash transactions to avoid paying tax.
Aaron Gilmore.
What other options did the government consider for tightening tax rules on property investors?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, we considered a number of options that were worked through by the tax working group, including a comprehensive capital gains tax. However, we decided against a capital gains tax for several reasons. It would make the tax system much more complex to administer, would raise virtually no money for several years, and it would encourage taxpayers to hold on to assets longer to avoid tax. Far from raising $4 billion, as I think the opposition claim, even a 15% capital gains tax on rental property will only raise $700 million, which won't even pay for half of their other tax promises.
Aaron Gilmore.
Supplementary question to the Minister of Finance. What reports has he seen of alternative tax policies?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I have seen, I think, an announcement that a 15% capital gains tax applied to investment properties would raise $4.5 billion. This is simply not correct. A 15% tax of that nature would eventually raise $700 million. In fact, it would probably take 15 years before it raised $700 million. And the other big problem for a capital gains tax is house prices are flat or falling, so it's quite possible you could bring in the tax and raise nothing.
Question number 5, Dr. Russell Norman.